Jansen, in layman's terms, umpisahan na po natin. Dr. Jansen, in layman's terms, ano po ba ang behavior ng cancer cells? Ano ba ang kinaiba po nila sa normal or healthy cells? Please explain to us who are very ignorant about these things po. Thank you po, Doc.
Okay, so explain muna natin kung ano yung activity ng normal cells. So, normal cells, so syempre, nag-divide ito eh. So, for example, nasugatan ka, so may damage sa katawan, the body will repair itself. So, kapag nire-repair ng katawan yung part na damage, yung katawan natin will instruct the cells doon sa damage areas to divide. Aalisin yung luma, papalitan ng bago. So how they do that is through cell division na tinatawag. Okay? So itong cell division is just one cell becoming two. Okay? So one skin cell becoming two skin cells to replenish yung mga na-damage na cells. Okay? So pagdating sa cancer, ang cancer ay cell division na hindi controlled. Okay? Cancer cells will replicate, will multiply uncontrollably. So, dadami sila ng dadami, parami ng parami hanggang sa mag-form ng tumor. Okay? So, that's why cancer patients, more often than not, nakakakapa ng bukol. It's because yung cancer, yung mga cells doon sa area na yon are multiplying uncontrollably. Walang nagko-control sa kanila na mechanism ng katawan na sinasabi na, okay, stop multiplying na kasi sobrang dami nyo na. Walang ganun. Sira yung mechanism na yon. So, basically, that is what cancer is. And ang cancer cells, may capacity sila to migrate. So, yung halimbawa, breast cancer, pwede siyang lumipat sa baga, pwede siyang kumalat sa buto, sa brain, sa liver. So that is what cancer cells are. Healthy cells, wala silang capacity to do that. Okay? They will only stay at that area kung nasaan sila natatagpuan, and they are functioning normally. Kung ano yung intended function niya, yun ang ginagawa niya. Okay? Cancer cells are different. Okay? Cancer cells does not function normally as well. Okay? Ano lang siya? Basically, cells na nag-multiply hanggang sa magbuo ng bukol. Okay? So, yan ang pinagkaiba.
Naku, Attorney Doc.
Ayun, okay. Oo.
Parang
Very well explained, no? Mm-mm.
Attorney, tingnan mo ha. Doon sa explanation, aywan ko, Attorney, kung parehas tayo ng pagkaintindi. Yung healthy cells must behave kasi walang capacity to migrate. Ang binabanggit, Doc, correct me here, yung abnormal cells, ito yung nagmamigrate. Hindi nag-stop na mag-multiply, dumadami, pupunta sa baga, pupunta. Am I correct there? Parang baligtad. Di ba kapag healthy ka, pwede ka kung saan. Pero dito sa cells, sa mga cells na binabanggit, kapag ka-healthy cells, behave lang sa isang lugar. Pero dito, nagmamigrate, nagpupunta sa iba't ibang mga parts ng ating body. What do you call that, Dot? Abnormal cells?
Yan ang cancer cells, So, cancer cells are abnormal cells. Yes. Ang characteristic ng cancer cell is may capacity sila to metastasize. Ibig sabihin, to spread to other organs. Yun.
Kita mo, Attorney, ba't diktag
Okay.
Kung sa isang body, sa
Yes, Miss
pagkatao natin, mas lalong hindi makakakilos yung unhealthy. Itong cancer cells, kung saan-saan. Yung healthy cells, napaka-behave. Attorney, dati balik ko sa inyo si Dr. Jansen. Very interesting. Go ahead. Thank you po.
Yes, Miss Annie. So thank you so much, Miss Annie. I'm now going to the next question, Dr. Jansen. Paano ba nakaka-apekto specifically ang cancer sa lifestyle ng isang tao? Of course, we know of many cancer-stricken victims, But as you are a doctor, ano po ang difference po? Ano po yung lifestyle po nila compared to normal people with normal cells? Thank you po, Doc.
Okay. So, cancer patients, in general, syempre, kapag ang pasyente nagka-cancer na, typically, yung appetite nawawala, depende kung nasaan yung cancer nila. So, halimbawa, ang cancer natatagpuan sa tiyan, okay, or sa intestine. Usually, ang pasyente nagkakaroon ng vomiting, na umiiba yung kanilang bowel movement. Minsan suka sila na suka, may abdominal pain. So they won't be able to eat that much. So yung appetite na apektuhan. At kapag naapektuhan ng appetite, expect malnutrition to happen. So that's just one part. Ang isa pang problem dito, physical activity. Kapag ang cancer kumalat sa buto, napakasakit niyan. Okay? Hindi ka makakakilos. You won't be able to do your regular physical activity na as well as before. Kasi ang sakit-sakit gusto mo na lang nakahilata, no? And if you are sedentary, lalong mas lumalala ang health ng isang cancer patient. So that also adds to the problem. So definitely, physical functioning na apektuhan, especially when a cancer patient is in pain. Another one is yung sleep. Ang daming cancer patients na hindi makatulog. Okay? It might be because dahil sa katandaan, may iba naman dahil kakaisip, nai-stress na, no? Kasi anxious na sila kung ano ba yung gagawin na next step, kung ano ba yung gagawin sa kanila ng doktor, ng oncologist, or even the finances. No? Of course, hindi natin pwedeng hindi pag-usapan yung tungkol sa pera when it comes to cancer treatment kasi sadyang napakamahal naman talaga ng treatment for cancer. No? And aside from that, yung relationship ng isang cancer patient with the people around the person, no? Definitely naapektuhan siya because cancer is not just a physical disease, it's also an emotional disease. So kapag hindi maganda ang support, no, ang group support, no, family, friends, no, people around the cancer patient, yung health ng cancer patient more often than not hindi rin nag-deteriorate din, hindi rin gumaganda or hindi rin nag-improve. This might be because of depression, ang anxiety, etc. Okay? So definitely these things will add up at malaki talaga ang effect sa isang lifestyle ng tao, no, kapag nagka-cancer siya.
Yes, napakahirap talaga, no, ng merong cancer, lalo na pag malala na. Nakikita naman natin yan, Miss Annie, sa mga
That's
friends
correct.
natin. Pero it's really something that we have to learn from. And this afternoon, Miss Annie, I think napakaganda ng susunod mo na itatanong.
Thank you very much, Attorney Dot. Ang itatanong ko, Attorney, ano yung dapat at hindi dapat gawin, Doc Jansen, upang makaiwas tayo sa cancer? Totoo po, iba't ibang uri ng cancer ang ating nakasasalunga dito po sa Serbisyong Bayanihan na nakahingi ng tulong. Sige nga, Doc, para magkaroon din ng knowledge ang ating mga kababayan. What to do, Doc Jansen? Thank you.
So, very important to prevention. Kasi in order for a person to win against the battle with cancer, prevention ang pinaka dapat na kailangan gawin, no? If cancer does not occur, okay ka na. Okay? So, in order to prevent cancer, babalik tayo sa lifestyle. Okay? So, when it comes to lifestyle, number one dyan is food. Ang pagkain, ang default diet, no, to prevent cancer is a plant-based diet. Dapat talaga sagana tayo sa prutas, gulay, beans, nuts, seed, whole grains. Itong mga pagkain na nabanggit ko, kailangan puro yan ang kinakain natin. Dapat sagana tayo dyan. Dapat hindi yan side dish, okay? Yan dapat ang main course. Okay? So, aside from a plant-based diet, ano pa? You have to be physically active. Exercise is very important. So, gano'n pa karaming exercise ang kailangan natin para makuha natin yung the most health benefits, no? Number one, moderate intensity physical activity. So 30 minutes per day lang yan. Kung makukuha mo siya 150 minutes per week ng moderate intensity physical activity, okay ka na. Ano ba yung mga halimbawa nito? Brisk walking, cycling. Yan ang mga halimbawa ng moderate intensity physical activity. Kung gusto natin yung medyo nasa-challenge tayo, pwede tayong gumawa ng mga vigorous intensity physical activity, no? Like running, yung iba nag-boxing, no? Some form of martial arts, yung iba nag-swimming, no? Yung iba dancing. Okay, so these are forms of vigorous intensity physical activity. At kapag ginagawa natin is vigorous, we only need 75 minutes per week nito. Okay? So that's for physical activity, no? And very important din for us to break prolonged sitting. Etong prolonged sitting na ito, Ang definition nito is seated for 2 hours or more. Actually, marami sa atin, especially ng mga nakatira dito sa syudad, no? Mga nasa office, no? Kaya kagaya ko, nasa opisina, tumitingin ng pasyente. More often than not, seated tayo, no, for more than 2 hours, and that is prolonged sitting, no? So that is what we need to break. Kasi sa mga pag-aaral, they are saying na prolonged sitting can detrimentally affect yung blood sugar control, yung cholesterol, triglycerides, no? Pwedeng tumaas ang timbang natin, pwede tayong maging overweight, obese, no? These things, no? And these risks, itong mga sakit na to are risk factors for developing cancer. Okay? So kapag nagkaroon po kayo ng sakit sa puso, diabetes, no? Pag mataas ang timbang, tataas ang chance natin to develop cancer. Okay? So it all goes back to your lifestyle. On top of that, yung pagtulog. Very important na nakaka 7 to 8 hours of sleep tayo. Kasi kapag kulang yan, again, you can develop heart disease, yung timbang pwedeng tumaas, eventually you can develop diabetes, which are risk factors, again, for cancer. What else? Bisyo, okay, paninigarilyo, pag-inom ng alak. Ito, alam na natin, no, matagal na alam na natin na cancerous itong mga ito. So better avoid. Okay, so those are just some. No? Marami pa tayong ibang pwedeng gawin,
Yeah.
but mainly yun ang mga kailangan natin gawin to prevent cancer. Or at least to lower yung chances natin to develop cancer later on.
Attorney Dot?
Ay nako, okay Doc. Yes, Miss Annie. Ang ganda ng ating natutunan ngayong hapon, Miss Annie. Pero ito I have 2 best friends. Marami kasi akong best friend, Miss Annie, pero 2 best, talagang super best friends ko na talagang nung bata pa kami nagsisigarilyo. Pinagsasabihan ko na yan. Siyempre, naku, magkaka-cancer ka. Awa ng Diyos, ganyan. At our old age, talagang may cancer na nga sila. And it's very sad. Because they could have really stopped it if they only listened to people like me. And yes, yung mga sinabi ni Doc, Miss Annie, alam mo tayo, marami naman tayong nag-guest ng mga doktor para sa iba't ibang sakit eh. Halos pare-pareho lang naman yung sinasabi nila. Of course, yung diet, vegetables and fruits, exercise, yung tulog, di ba, Miss Annie? Halos lahat, pati yung huwag magkakaroon ng bisyo, avoid smoking, avoid drinking. So, it's the same also for cancer. And that's the reason why if you follow all these, then mas magiging healthy ka, mas hindi ka magkakaroon ng sakit, especially ng cancer. Iwasan natin ang cancer. Miss Annie, back to you.
Thank you very much, Attorney Dot. Attorney, isingit ko lang ito because a while ago, diniscuss ni Dr. Jansen about prevention. Nabanggit na nga po yung mga yan. Doc, may singit ko lang. I don't know kung ito available o just enlightened us. Talking about prevention, mayroon bang certain lab tests na pwedeng kunin sa isang hospital para ma-tests kung ano yung number ng cancer cells na mayroon ka para as early as possible ma-check na, oy, dumadami yung cancer cells mo. Do we have that, Doc Jansen? Talking about prevention, can we add that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Actually, meron na tayong ganong klaseng technology in existence. Ang tinatawag natin dito is liquid biopsy. Ang liquid biopsy po ay, ang minimeasure niya ay circulating tumor DNA. So pag sinabi nating circulating tumor DNA, ito yung mga cancer cells na umiikot, na present sa blood natin. So we get just 10 ml of blood, no? Then makikita na natin kung ano yung mga cancer cells na umiikot, kung meron man, kung significantly high ba sila or hindi. Actually, there are also tests to see kung ikaw ay may mataas na risk to develop certain cancers like breast cancer, colon cancer, ovarian cancer, lung cancer. Okay? So, this is under genetic analysis already.
Okay. Siguro, Doc, can we invite you again? Pauna na, Attorney Dot. This is the first time na narinig ko itong liquid biopsy. Siguro po, Doc, we will invite you again sa susunod to discuss that, Attorney. I'm very interested tungkol din sa bagay na yan. Kasi kung tayo makakapagsagawa ng ganyan, ibig sabihin, I think that is also part of prevention. Kasi makikita mo na, yung cancer cells ko dumadami, ay possibility na magkaroon ako ng ganito. Attorney Dot, ibalik ko po sa inyo si Dr. Jansen sa iba pa natin mga katanungan patungkol dito sa topic natin ngayong hapon. Thank you very much po.
Yes, Miss Annie. Yung tinanong mo, Miss Annie, is very important. Actually, even
Thank
if it's
you.
not part of our topic today, sobrang ganda nun kasi, kung meron na talagang test for that, then lahat tayo magpa-test na. Kasi kung meron nga tayong, the makings of cancer cells and cancer na sakit, then pwede nating iwasan. Kung meron tayong mga dapat gawin, magpokonsulta tayo kay Dr. Jansen. So Dr. Jansen, saan po ang mga hospital or saan po ang mga laboratory? Ipa-follow up ko lang po yung sinabi po ni Ma'am Annie. Saan po pwedeng magpa-test kung meron kaming cancer cells?
Thank you, Attorney Dot.
As far as I know, no, with my knowledge lang po, no, ang mga facilities na may ganitong capacity ay St. Luke's, the Medical City, Makati Med, and Asian. Itong 4 na malalaking ospital na to. Outside from their hospital, we have Gene Solutions. Gene Solutions is it's an outpatient laboratory, no, wherein they get your blood. Tapos pagkuha ng blood ng sample, pinapadala nila sa Vietnam yan. And ang laboratory sa Vietnam ang mag-a-analyze ng blood sample. Then they will send back the result at meron ka ng resulta kung ano ang status mo. Aside from Gene Solutions, RGCC, isang facility din ito, no, outpatient din, outside from hospital that can do this. Yan so far ang mga alam ko in existence.
Yes. Yes, Doc. Thank you very much. Especially po for those whose siblings or parents had
That's correct.
cancer.
That's correct.
Yung
That's
mga relatives mo, close relatives mo, nagkaroon ng cancer. I think this should be done by you. Kasi mas prone ka. Tama ba, Doc? I'm trying to be a doctor here. Pero tama po ba na pwedeng, di ba? Baka sa isang pamilya, pwedeng kayo lahat ay magkaroon ng cancer. Mas prone ka kung meron kang mga parents or lolo at lola at kapatid na namatay ng cancer. Tama po ba, Doc?
Yes, actually, very important, no? That's actually part of prevention kasi kapag alam mo na ikaw ay susceptible din to develop the cancer, kumbaga, alisto ka na eh. So, maingat ka na sa kinakain mo, sa lifestyle mo. So, you will be able to make informed decisions when it comes to your lifestyle. Okay, so hindi ka na rin magtatry ng kung ano-ano, hindi ka na rin magpapabaya. Diba? If you really want to prevent cancer from happening. Pero more often than not, kapag ang cancer talaga nasa lahi, no, chances are yung individual, more often than not, nagkaka-cancer din eh. So, pero it doesn't end there, no? Kasi kahit nasa lahi niyo yung cancer, pwede ikaw hindi magkaroon. Depending on how healthy you are, how
Correct.
good you live your lifestyle, your life, no? Kung gaano kaganda
Correct.
kung gaano ka-healthy ang iyong lifestyle.
Correct. So, maganda yung sinabi ni Doc na kung meron kang mga kamag-anak na nagkaroon ng cancer, dapat mag-alaga ka ng sarili mo and try to avoid it. So, Doc, ito po yung talagang question. Meron pong nagsasabi na dapat umiwas sa sikat ng araw ang mga cancer patients. Is this true? If it's true, bakit po? Thank you po, Doc.
Okay, it's because there are certain conditions, say for example, skin cancer. Pagka ang pasyente ay may skin cancer, the patient should avoid sun exposure. Kasi baka tumubo pa isa pang skin cancer no, elsewhere. No? Another reason is there are certain chemotherapeutic drugs, mga gamot no, na binibigay sa isang cancer patient that makes the patient sensitive to sunlight. So, pakiramdam nila ang hapdi-hapdi sa balat kapag nagkikimo sila. So, these patients, kailangan iwas muna sa araw. Pero for other patients na okay naman sila, hindi naman skin cancer ang condition, wala naman silang very sensitive skin conditions, no? Actually, we have to encourage cancer patients to expose themselves to the sun kasi kailangan natin ng vitamin D. Kung ikaw ay hirap matulog, kailangan mo magpa-araw. Lalo na kung sira ang sleep cycle mo. Okay? So, sunlight exposure, while on some cases, kailangan natin i-advise ng patient na umiwas. More often than not, for everybody else, kailangan may sun exposure talaga. Sa panahon ngayon, lalo at summer, no, at napakainit, please lang, wag po tayo magpapaaraw ng tanghaling tapat. Make sure you get your sun exposure sa morning or sa hapon. Late in the afternoon or early in the morning. Okay na yon sa Pilipinas.
Kasi dito,
Okay,
yung
Doc.
heat index natin nasa danger level. Attorney Dot, yes, attorney?
Yes, Miss Annie, pupuntahan ko lang yun kasi napaka-importante no, no? Sinabi ni Doc, para sa ating lahat, actually, hindi lang sa mga may cancer, very important yung nagpapaaraw. Doc, ito yung tanong ko. What is the best time na magpaaraw? At saka, okay po ba? Kasi syempre, alam mo naman, Miss Annie, ang mga Pilipino, ayaw nating masunog yung mga mukha natin. Iniingatan natin yan. Okay po ba na nasa likod lang yung araw? O dapat po ba nakaharap
Okay.
paano po ba anong rule dyan?
Opo. For fair-skinned individuals, so lalo yung mga mapuputi, kailangan sandali lang yung sun exposure. 15 minutes, enough na. Sa guidelines, ang advice nila is dapat noon time. So, ang oras is 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. up to 2 p.m. Yan ang sun exposure time sa guidelines, no? Pero kasi sa Pilipinas, hindi natin pwedeng gawin yun. Kasi napakainit, okay? So, ako, mas prefer ko sa morning. So, sunlight ng 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. or up to 10 a.m. no, is okay. Okay, actually, baka di na rin sa balat yun eh. No, basta 15 minutes lang for for fair-skinned individuals. Kapag kayo naman po ay kayo manggi, no, like most Filipinos are, 20 minutes po ang kailangan. Okay? Now, kapag po
Okay.
kayo ay medyo nasa darker side ang complexion, no, then kailangan mas matagal po. So, usually, I advise patients up to 30 minutes of direct sun exposure. Pero again, kapag po napakahapdi na ng sikat ng araw, no, ng init ng araw sa balat, iwas na po tayo. At kapag kayo ay nakakaramdam na ng labis na pagkauhaw o labis na pagpawis, no, or nagkakaroon na ng pagkabog ng puso, nagpapalpitate na, iwas na po tayo sa araw. Magpalamig po, uminom ng maraming tubig. Okay? Huwag po nating pipilitin na, sinabi ni Doc na 30 minutes, kailangan nandito ako. Pag may minute ka, 30 minutes, hindi mo naman na kaya. Okay? So, we have to still listen to our body and avoid itong excessive sun exposure kasi heat exhaustion naman ang kalaban natin.
Okay, so isang ikot lang yan, Miss Annie. Isang ikot lang yan namin ni Ma'am Lynn sa UP Oval. 30 minutes daw eh. So isang ikot lang dyan. Miss Annie, sumama ka sa amin. Okay.
Mahaba-haba yun. Opo, Attorney Dot. Sige po, Attorney,
Alam ko
go
may
ahead.
tanong
Mayroon
ka pa
pang-
dyan.
Opo.
Ako?
Attorney?
Okay, sige, ako na. Okay.
Yes, go. Please, thank you.
Yes, Dr. Jansen, ito po. Sa mga nag-undergo po ng cancer treatment, so meaning to say, meron ng cancer, nagpapatreat na po sila. Ano po ang maaari po nilang iba pang magawa for their speedy recovery? Or I will say it in another way. Instead ng speedy recovery, ano po ang pwede nilang gawin para hindi lumala yung kanilang cancer? Thank you po, Doc.
Okay, so we have a few modalities, no, lalo sa integrative medicine field, no. A few modalities that we can do to help cancer patients lessen yung side effect ng chemotherapy, ng mga treatments. In some cases, at least mapanatili nating healthy sila na hindi magkaroon ng infections, no. Or after the treatment, in fact, we can even do some things para matulungan na mas mabilis na mag-recover yung katawan nila. Kasi usually pag nag-chemo talaga, radiation, afterwards, bagsak talaga ang katawan ng pasyente. So, some of these treatments are intravenous IV, no? Intravenous vitamin C drip, no? And ozone therapy. and a few supplements na usual na piniprescribe natin just to make sure na healthy yung katawan ng isang pasyente. So, doon muna tayo sa IV vitamin C drip. Okay? So, vitamin C. Studies have shown na kapag ang katawan natin ay stressed, may sakit, ang vitamin C requirement natin tumataas. So, for cancer patients, studies have shown na napakataas talaga ng requirement nila for vitamin C para mapanatiling maayos yung pag-function ng kanilang immune system. So, for intravenous IV vitamin C, we usually give more than 30 grams to fight the cancer. More than 30 grams, ibig sabihin, this is 30,000 milligrams. At kailangan sa swero siya padaanin. Hindi pwedeng inumin to orally kasi kapag orally natin siya ininom, hindi natin ma-absorb yun kasi may limit tayo ng absorption ng vitamin C which is 2,000 milligrams only. So, dapat padaanin po siya sa swero. So, ito pong vitamin C drip, there are a few benefits na pwede nating makuha dito. Number one, mas hindi natin ramdam yung fatigue when you undergo chemo. Number two, mas hindi nagkaka-infection ng pasyente. Okay? Yan ang IV vitamin C, for ozone therapy, ang ozone therapy ay oxygen ozone, it's a type of oxygen therapy actually. And ang ozone is O3. Okay? So, may 3 oxygen molecule ito. So, kapag binigay natin ng ozone therapy sa katawan ng isang pasyente, itong excess na oxygen molecule, it reacts with the cells. Okay? Kapag nag-react yan sa cells, na-activate yung antioxidant system nila. So with the activation of the antioxidant system, mas nababawasan yung inflammation sa katawan ng cancer patient, mas nababawasan yung fatigue. In some studies, ang ozone therapy nakakapagbawas din ng chemo-resistance. Ibig sabihin, kapag together with ozone therapy, mas nagiging sensitive yung cancer sa effect ng chemotherapy. So with a lower dose of chemo, napapatay niya the same number of cancer cells. So with a lower dose of chemo also, expect natin less ang side effects din. Okay? So that's just one. Okay? Another benefit ng ozone therapy is sa immune system. It modulates the immune system. So kung kailangan po natin na palakasin yung immune system ng pasyente, it can help strengthen the immune system. Kung hindi naman, kung kailangan natin pakalmahin yung immune system, it can also help calm the immune system down. Okay, which is yung nabanggit ko kanina na antioxidant benefit. Another very important benefit of ozone therapy is that it is also germicidal. It can kill bacteria, viruses, and fungal infections. So, ozone therapy can actually be very good for wounds, especially for breast cancer patients na may bukol na, nagsusugat na, mayroon ng dugo. So we can do ozone therapy on top of the wound to help it heal. Or at least man lang, hindi na siya duguin uli to stop the bleeding. So those are some benefits of ozone therapy. And of course, supplementation. So when it comes to supplementation, of course, yung B vitamins, yung vitamin D, vitamin C, the antioxidants, etc. Marami tayong pwedeng gamitin na supplements, herbs to help fight the cancer as well. But these herbs cannot be given together with your chemo kasi may interaction sila. Some of them naglalaban. Okay? So while it's okay to take supplements, wag po tayo magsi-self-medicate. Okay? You always ask your doctor kung pwede ba i-take yung supplement or hindi.
Okay. Doc, napakaganda po. Oo, ang ganda ng mga sinabi ni Doc. Miss Annie, I will have to share this. I have a friend, si Kata Inocencio. Okay, you know her. She's a newscaster. She had stage 3 breast cancer. And ginawa po niya to vitamin C drip at saka yung ozone therapy. And she's well now. She's cancer-free. So I just want to share that. But Doc, eto na lang po. Pasensya na, Miss Annie, I really have to ask this.
Yes
ito po bang vitamin C drip na to at saka yung ozone therapy na nagpapalakas po sa katawan, ito po ba ay para sa mga cancer patients lang? Number 2, kung cancer patient ka naman, how often should you do it? Thank you po, Doc.
Very good question.
Okay, so
Attorney
first
Dar.
question, no? First
Thank you.
question. Oh, yes. First question, hindi lang ito para sa cancer patients. Other patients can actually receive this. Even if you, kahit healthy, no, kahit walang sakit, pwede. For vitamin C drip, no, ano lang siya nasa dose lang siya. So for healthy, very healthy individuals, halimbawa, pagod na pagod ka, stress ka sa work, no, you can actually receive a few grams lang ng vitamin C, then okay na yon. You can receive it once a month. Okay na yun. Once every 2 months, that's fine. Okay? Other diseases na pwede nating paggamitan ng vitamin C would be infectious diseases. Okay? Kasi alam natin ang vitamin C, maganda siya for infection, di ba? So, non-healing wounds lalo na. So ano ba yung mga sakit na merong mga sugat na hindi gumagaling, na hirap gumaling, no? Diabetes. Okay? So diabetes, pag ang pasyente diabetic, no, kadalasan yan may mga non-healing wound or pangit yung wound healing, then we can give them intravenous vitamin C. Okay? Aside from that, yung mga may sakit sa puso, they can receive ozone therapy as well. So studies have shown, no, when you give ozone therapy to patients na may heart disease, yung mga na-stroke na, nakakatulong ito sa pagpababa ng inflammation at pag-improve ng blood flow sa katawan. And in fact, when we give ozone, it can also help lower the sugar levels. Okay, may effect din siyang ganito. So,
Wow.
to answer the next question, these have talaga, maraming amazing effects talaga, no? So dun sa next question, no, for a cancer patient, how often do we need to give this? For IV vitamin C drips, since syempre cancer patients sila, no, I typically give IV vitamin C to my patients 2 to 3 times per week. Okay? For ozone therapy naman, depende po kung anong klaseng ozone therapy ang ginagawa. Kasi under ozone therapy, marami pang iba-ibang modalities. But ozone therapy can usually be given every day to as often as once every quarter or once every 2 months. Pwede po siyang ibigay ng ganun kalayo. Okay? So, depende po yan sa kung anong klaseng ozone therapy ang gagawin sa inyo.
Okay. I'm not familiar about the ozone therapy, Attorney Dot. But I heard this, hindi ko
Yes.
alam kung paano ito. No? Siguro one of these days we can discuss that para at least makatulong na
Yes.
gusto na ma-enlighten, ma-educate yung ating mga kababayan. Itong mga binabanggit ni Doc doon sa mga nag-undergo ng chemotherapy dahil hinang-hina sila, Attorney Dot. At sinabi mo nga, yung ating kaibigan ay magaling na siya because of that, yung mga binanggit na mga treatment ni Doc. Yes, Attorney? Go ahead, please.
Yes, Miss Annie. Before we let Dr. Jansen go, Dr. Jansen, I think after this, you will have many patients. How do we get in touch with you po?
Okay, to get in touch with me, no, to set an appointment, just search for my name, Doc Jansen Calalan sa Facebook. Lalabas doon yung Facebook page ko. You can inquire there. Or you can inquire directly sa Alta Integrative Medicine and Wellness Complex sa Perpetual Health Medical Center, Las Piñas. So you can also inquire there and set for an appointment. Okay? Yeah.
Wow.